All right, we are live. Let me get my Amazon thing cooking here. And then we'll talk a little bit about software-defined radio. All right. We are live in both places. And I'll wait for our friends to join us. And yeah, this is something a little different, but I'm going to have a video about this coming up in a couple of days, probably on Saturday. And this is, if you look on the link in the description, let me make sure the link is a good one. The link will take you over to Amazon Live, and there we've got a link to this kit I'm looking at. And what's cool about this is that you can turn your computer into a shortwave radio, and you can pick up just about anything, really. And I'm surprised that it picks stuff up like out of the box. So you don't really need to do a lot of crazy stuff with antenna placement. I just have this upstairs, and it's actually working pretty well. And let me pull up my chat, because I'm getting some chats on the YouTube side. So William Wilkinson is here, Romerick is here, Jeremiah is here. I have a little cold I'm getting over here, so my voice is a little bit off. Adam Louse is here, Seaplane 14 is here, and I've got it tuned right now to my local airport, so we'll see if anything comes in over this. Let me switch the modulation here. So there's like a transmission from an airplane. See if we can pick that up. The problem with the airband is that it is really hard to get stuff picked up because they transmit for such short periods of time, and they always like transit to different frequencies and stuff, so it's a little trickier. But right now I've got it just, there we go. Let's see if we can get this guy in here. All right, so we're going to zoom in on this frequency. And let's get it over a little bit more of this way. So we might be picking up one of the approach towers. All right, so we're going to narrow this down a little bit. And I'll answer some questions as we move along here. So I don't think the airband is FM. I think it's AM for the modulation. And I'll show you, I'll give you a closer look at the screen here. You can adjust the bandwidth just by dragging this here, so you can kind of tune it in closer to what you're trying to find. And I'll answer some more questions here too. Your source wants to know, is this Windows only? No, in fact, you can get this on Linux. There's a whole bunch. So this software is called SDR Sharp, which is Windows only. But there's an app called SDR++, which is a open source multi-platform app that will work with this adapter that I have. And this thing is super inexpensive. It's like $40 for the kit to get started, and all the software you're going to find is free. And you can just tune in to, here's another one. See, so these airbands, like they pop up really quickly, and you gotta get to them quick. So they're often hard to get. But I'll show you a few other bands that I've been playing around with. Tech Nerd wants to know, what is SDR? So SDR is software-defined radio. And upstairs, right now I'm streaming this from upstairs on my gaming PC where the antenna is. So this is coming over NDI down to the basement. Software-defined radio is basically a way that you can turn your computer into a shortwave radio. And it works exceptionally well. It is super inexpensive. And it's a fun hobby because it's something that you have to kind of mess around with and learn. But once you get going with it, it is really fun. And what's cool is that all these frequencies and all these transmissions are happening in the air right now, which is what makes this so fun. And I'm going to show you the little dongle that I have here. So this is the dongle that I'm using. Let me just get the thing off. Oops, hang on. That's me from the other day. So this is the dongle that I'm using. And it is about $40 for the kit. And so I shot this video already, so you can actually see it on the Amazon page. It'll be up on the YouTube channel on Saturday. But that is the USB dongle, and it's $39 for the whole thing. Daniel is here. Stanko is here. Craig is here. Seaplane just got his ham technician license 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I'm slowly getting into this radio thing. And there's also, it does not have a sweep mode as far as I know. So you have to kind of grab it quick. You can get a plug-in that will allow you to have it quickly scan like a scanner would, you know, like a police scanner might do. But it doesn't just go like auto scan, at least as far as I know yet. But there might be some software that does that. Therabit Slayer loves these things, and you're welcome, your source. Therabits wants to know, what would be a low-cost solution to run all this power consumption-wise? I think if you have like a mini PC, you could probably run this pretty inexpensively. So I have this on an overpowered computer upstairs just because that's where my antenna is, and I shoot mostly from the basement. So it was easier for me to come down here and then just stream the video from upstairs over the network. But I think, you know, honestly, I think any low-end PC, like this little guy here, is like $280. And you combine that with the $39 thing, and you're, there we go. So this is an airplane that we're picking up. I think we might hear a response to that transmission. So let's zoom in a little bit. And I'll show you some other bands in a minute. So let's see if we get anything else here. So this is an airplane likely flying overhead. And Therapist says that, oh, there is a plug-in. So I will have to find that plug-in and have it scan automatically. That might make this more efficient, especially for the airband, because the airband really jumps around quite a bit because they don't transmit very long. This does not transmit, so you don't need a license or anything. I don't know about specific countries, but here in the US, you can pick up anything that's over the air. There are some issues related to, and this isn't a big deal anymore because everything's encrypted and encoded now, but it was illegal to listen in on cellular phone conversations back in the analog days, still probably today, but because all the cell phones here in the US are digital and encrypted, you really can't listen to it anyhow. The one exception would be if you're picking up pagers. There is some issues related to decoding pagers and sharing that information, but for mostly standard conversations, not a big issue. And I've set up a bunch of like presets here of different things. One thing I've been trying to find is trying to get these emergency action messages. Let me turn this down a little bit. So the U.S. Air Force will broadcast these emergency access messages, action messages, and they'll deliver just code with a voice over the air. I haven't picked it up on here. There is a website called websdr.org, and you can run one of these from Europe over a web browser, and that's pretty fun to play around with too. We can go over here to the CB channels. Squelch speed. I'm going to squelch up a little bit here so we can hear the static. Let's see if we can pick up some CB radio transmissions here. Oops. This one's what I want. Okay, so I'm not close to the interstate here, but you'll see some of these things pop in occasionally. Let's see if we can pick that one up. It's pretty weak here. CB radio is very low powered, so if you're not near the interstate, you're probably not going to get it. My mom's place isn't far, so I might bring this over there and see what we can get over there. Let's see if we can get what this is. I think this might, oh, here we go. Here's somebody transmitting, I think. So you have to kind of look for the signal through the noise, if you will, right? Yes, looks like just a tone. There's some interference for something in the house. But then I could do stuff like if I wanted to pick up my NOAA weather.
Lows in the upper 30s. Southeast winds around 5
So that's pretty easy to get.
Chance of rain 50%. Saturday, rain in the morning, then rain, snow and sleet in the afternoon. Little or no snow and sleet accumulation. Highs in the upper 40s. Temperature falling into the mid-30s in the afternoon.
And Doomed says that I cringe at software-defined anything after my work experience with software-defined WAN. Yeah, this is a lot cooler. Because really what it does is it turns you, it's so inexpensive, because you just have to get this really inexpensive kit that I will be reviewing very shortly. And once you get that kit and you hook the antenna up, you can just start tuning stuff. Like you can even get FM radio. So if I go over to my FM radio stations here, there's a little bug in this software because occasionally it like gets, there it goes. I got to switch to wide FM here for my modulation. And this is my local NPR affiliate.
In South Korea has ended up jailed for corruption. So it is a rough business. He gets one term and who knows where he'll end up.
And you can see all the other radio stations here as well. I'm going to mute it for a second because some of these other stations are broadcasting music and I'll get hit with copyright. But what you'll see here, oh, this has just got local news on now. So up here, and I'll give you another view of it, at the top, you can actually pick up what is currently on the air. So I have the station identification number up here, and you'll see it also tell you what is currently being
It's cloudy, and after midnight, rain starts.
broadcast.
The low comes over Long Island tonight. The winds are going to
And
pick up
then
at
when
the
they switch to a
northwest
song or
at 30
something, the
miles
song
an hour,
will
with gusts of
appear up
40
there.
miles an hour, and we're looking
And then I
at
can just
about
tune it like a radio and pick up different stations. So it works just like, you know, regular radio would, except it's on your computer. Here's a real strong one. This must be out of New London.
Discussed among this U.S. delegation that went to negotiate this and whether it's tied to any
But
sanctions.
you know, so you can go from this
relief
to
and
like your
getting
ham
more
band. So this is a
Venezuelan-
local ham repeater that's not far from me. They don't use it much during the day, so you don't get a lot of this. But I did pick up on this frequency the other night. Some of the local radio guys were having a meeting over the radio, which was kind of fun. I picked up the Civil Air Patrol doing their check-ins one night. That was pretty fun. And no, this is only listening. And Alfredo wants to know, what PC is this? This is a B-Link U59. It's a little Celeron PC. This is not actually processing this right now. What I have it doing is just acting as an endpoint for NDI. So this screen is being cast from my computer upstairs just because that's where the antenna is located. Because I can't pick up anything down here in the basement. So that is why this thing is working with this. C-Play wants to know, what kind of antenna am I using? I just have a regular dipole that it came with. So the kit that you'll find on Amazon has a big dipole antenna that you just plug in, and that's what I'm working with here. And yeah, so you can pick up stuff like this too. If you're close enough to a fast food restaurant, you can pick up their drive-through thing. Absolutely. Anything that's not encrypted is available. So here's my local fire department. I live in a pretty small town, so things are pretty quiet most of the time. But you saw there was something popping up on, there's another transmission popping up here. So these things will just pop up, and you got to get to them quick and then figure out what you're listening to. And then if it's something that you might want to come back to, then you set it up on your list of frequencies. So let's see what this might be. Let's zoom in on that, because that looks like it's been hopping a little bit. So we'll see if that pops again. And I have the squelch on so that we don't hear the static. If I turn it off, you can hear that. Jeremiah, yes, it can pick up ISS transmissions with the right antenna. Because I think those are at like 145 megahertz. So it can do that. NOAA weather satellites, you can pick up imagery from that as well. And yeah, this is like where my love of radio began, was in the 80s with walkie-talkies. My friends and I got CB radios because phones were so expensive back then, you know, a landline phone. So we used to talk to each other with CB radios. That was something we used to do quite a bit of. Oh, there it is again. I just missed it. All right, so let's go back over there. So it's really just kind of exploring what's in the air over your head, right? It's, that's part of what's so fun about this. Yeah, and Eric, that was an issue with those police scanners back in during that time period, because those phones were all analog, So they were transmitting over the air just clear as day, so you could pick them up. And it was illegal to listen to it, but it was hard. And I think the scanner radios that were manufactured after that period of time or in that time frame could not legally tune into those specific frequencies. I think they made some effort to prevent that. But now with digital, everything is encrypted and hidden, so you really can't get at it anymore. But yeah, I like watching this too, because it's kind of fun when you're just browsing around and suddenly like there's something going on, you know. Hang on, let me just look at this real quick. But I've been dying to pick up, and I've been able to get this on the web-based SDR that is located in the Netherlands. But the U.S. military on these frequencies down here at the bottom, they frequently broadcast their emergency action messages. So they have all these, it's all encoded. You know, it's somebody reading off a code. And they'll say, "This is Bugle Boy," you know, and then they just read off a bunch of numbers, but it's an encrypted code for the worldwide nuclear alert stuff, so that they can transmit even if their digital mechanisms are not functional. Well, here's something right there. Let's see. This might be like a local fire department or something. I added a police one the other day that I stumbled across. Let's see if we can get anything on that. So it's funny you should mention that, Daniel. I actually have that functioning on here. Let me show you that real quick. So I'm going to close this out real quick. And I was just looking for some additional frequencies. I was playing around with this pager thing, but I can't find any active pagers. So I have this software called RTL 1090. And this picks up the ADS-B from aircraft. So if I hit Start, and we go over to the table, what you will see here is planes overhead. And I think, let me double check this. I think I can actually connect to, it's got its own like built-in web browser. Let me see, localhost 310. Nope, doesn't seem to work. But you know what I'll do is I'll pull up FlightAware and just show you what it is seeing. So this is kind of, let me go over to where I am sort of located. Okay, so what we've got, and I'll zoom in on this so you can see what we're looking at here. And this is one of the cool things you can do with this radio. It's more than just listening to stuff. You can do a lot of you can pick up a lot of digital, just data that's in the air, which I think is really neat. So I'm just going to create a virtual input. And let's go over here. And what I'm going to do is just zoom in so you can see what we're looking at here a little closer. Give me 1 second, and I'll get this all combobulated properly. Okay, so let me go and here, and then we'll do this. Okay, so what you're looking at are the planes that are currently in range of my antenna. So for example, this is JetBlue Flight 147. They're at 16,000 feet. They are, I believe, in descent, probably because they're landing in Boston most likely. And so their vertical speed indicator, I believe, is 1,300 feet per minute descending. So you can see now they're at F15.5. And if I go over to the FlightAware map, we should see that aircraft. I'm just looking for it here. It's American Airlines. So let me see if I can find it here. It might be a little bit further north, maybe. Yep, so that one is going into, no, that's one, no, I'm looking for 147. I'm just trying to see if I can figure out which plane it is. Typically, I can find them on the map. And these are a lot of smaller planes, too. So RPA 5574. Let's see if we can figure out which one that is. And not all these little Cessnas have these transponders on them, as far as I know. I know a lot of them do now. Usually you pick up the N number and then all the other stuff there. But yeah, this kit comes with everything you need, so it's kind of fun. You can just get started right away with it. Hey, DK Savage is here. Yeah, you would, if you were in a more, so I'm in a pretty, I think you know where I live, Dan. But yeah, if I wasn't here, I would be picking up a lot more than what we're picking up here. Aircraft, everything. Just because there's not a lot transmitting near me with a lot of these lower powered radios that people use commercially. Runaway Shield is here. Hello there. Charles G wants to know that I previously entered those frequencies. Yes, I did enter in a bunch of them. So this has been like the last week of my life, just like at night, I just go upstairs and start poking around with this thing to see what I can pick up. So yeah, you have to kind of spend some time to figure it out. This software is called RTL 1090, and this is tuned to this frequency where it picks up those transponders. And Stephen wants to know which one is, yes, it is the RTL SDR. That's the one I'm using. And it works great. And bin user wants to know if I looked at RTL 433. I have it set up. No, I haven't yet. I am really like just a week into this, but I know this is going to become a new thing for me. So it is, it's kind of fun. And Ed the Nerd got one in a few weeks ago, so he must be on the same track that I am. I was listening to tower traffic for Sikorsky Memorial Airport the other day, picked up Bradley from Shelton. Yeah, it's amazing what you can get with these things. It really is. Ed E is here. Good to see you. So you cannot pick up, I mean, you might be able to listen to the digital signal, but you're not going to be able to pick up what any of the words or what people are saying because it's all encrypted now. But it's pretty cool. And the reason why I'm doing this stream is to learn more from all of you. So I'm going to try to get this right. Saravar got this set up southwest of New Jersey, set up his own ADSB receiver with an RTL SDR, which is what I have. And he gets about 200 nautical miles over that, which is amazing. It's pretty crazy. What else we got here? But yeah, this is like, honestly, if you're into radio, this is the best thing you can ever get because it is, in every way, this is as good as a shortwave radio back in the old days, or even today, if you're just kind of looking to be a hobbyist, right? So I'm just trying to see if I can find a big plane overhead. I got a lot of little planes here. So here's an American Airlines flight, 2152 at 26,000 feet. And I wonder if my map here is just not updating. I'm just trying to see where they're headed. And what I like to do is go over to FlightAware just to kind of validate what I'm looking at. Okay, so this one is flying to, so this one's actually north of me. Here, I'll pull it into the frame here. So this is the one that it picked up, just flying over the Bradley International Airport. But it's not landing there. It is at 26,000 feet. And I have planes flying over all night, so it's always fun to kind of see where they're going. And I'm not picking up a lot of these little Cessna planes on this. But some of them may not have ADSB on board either. Because the larger planes have to have it. And what it does is it delivers to the pilot in the cockpit essentially the same data that the air traffic control people get. So they're moving away from radar and over to ADSB because the data comes from the plane's onboard avionics. So you know where the plane is, you know how high it is, you know if they are in a state of ascent or descent. It's really cool stuff. And yeah, one of the cool, so let me pop out of here and I'll pull back the radio software again for you. So this software I'm using is called SDR Sharp. And this is like the one that everyone on Windows uses when they're first starting out, like me. But there are other ones out there. And what they do here to help you out is they also label all of the bands. So you see right here, it's got that little red bar there, and that tells me that this is the 2-meter ham band. But I don't see a lot of activity on this during the day, just because I think it's, you know, it's all mostly amateur radio and people are working. But then you can just kind of scroll through. And then what you can also do, here's something. See, a lot of these more uniform broadcasts tend to be digital. So it looks like it's stronger than it is. I'm not really picking up much there. So around here where I live, it's really challenging to find things to pick up. But you spend enough time doing it, once you find a few frequencies to start with, then you can start branching out and find more. There's also a website called Radio Reference, which I think is what everyone tends to use. And this website, and I'll pull it up on screen for you. This website will give you a database of frequencies that you can start with. So for example, if I go to Connecticut here where I live, I can start just with these frequencies. Oops, sorry, I'm moving things around too quickly. I can start moving around with these frequencies. So for example, like the countywide fire dispatch at 46.18, which I programmed in here. So if I go to 46, well, I thought I programmed that in. I have the fire chiefs, but not the district-wide one. So if I go to 46.18, that is apparently the countywide. I can just set up a new one in here. So I can say countywide fire. And so now I've got that there, and I can just tune to that, or I can go to the fire chiefs. This is my town's stuff over here. And you'll see these little bouncing signals, and sometimes it's somebody talking, sometimes it's just interference. I do not have the ideal antenna set up right now, so that's part of what I'm trying to figure out. But as you go up the ladder here, so if we go into, so this is at 468 megahertz. I can zoom out here a little bit. That's a pretty strong signal there. So we're going to zoom back in on that section and see what that might be. But then you can look at different ham bands, and they'll give you a little indicator down there of like what is allocated for what. And Seaplane says SDR is way more affordable than a good shortwave radio. Yeah, it's amazing. I was surprised by how much, and it's where I live, it's hit or miss what we're going to pick up because I'm so far away from everything out here. But it's pretty amazing what you're able to get with these things. And it works just as well as any scanner I've ever owned. And then, right, you can use the trunking things. I think you need two of these dongles for that, right? Because you have to have one that tunes into the control frequency and the other one to switch. And Ed says Bradley Tower should be 120300. Let's see if we can pick that up. So we go 12. This is the Hartford Airport. I don't think I'm going to get them this far away, but you never know. So 120300. So I'm going to add that as another favorite. And we'll call this BDL Tower. Because I'm about an hour south of the airport, about 50 miles. And I don't have a good antenna placement right now either, so. Yeah, so back in the old days, that was definitely possible, right? We were talking about that. But you could also get in trouble if you were listening into private phone conversations. And that was I remember them passing a law to make that illegal if you were, doing that. And then a lot of the scanners stopped working. And Jazz says all their stuff is digital. And actually, they have software to decode the digital transmissions, which I have not yet gotten into, but that's something I'm going to be messing around with too. Let's try 351.80. 80. Oh, here's something. Looks like digital too. But you can start to tell the difference between something that's like a tone or but as you can see, this has become kind of an obsession for me. Okay, so here's the Bradley approach frequencies: 119, 123.95, and 127. Okay, so let's try one of those. So, well, here's something popping, but I don't think this is anybody speaking. This is in the military frequency. Oh, I didn't have the volume on here. And my audio stopped working here. I got to figure out why that is. Hang on a second. Yeah, that's likely some kind of digital transmission. But let me figure out why the audio just died on this thing. I have found it's a little buggy occasionally when I'm doing this kind of stuff with the streaming. Mostly around audio output. Yeah, so that's just like a tone that's being broadcast on that thing there. So let's try 119. Go back to AM. And we'll go 1. $119.0. Oh, there's something strong right there. Oops. That might have been the tower. Let's see. And I could set up a whole group with that tower. Okay, there we go. So there's something happening over there. Let's zoom out a little bit. I'm going to turn the squelch off here for a second just to see if we can. But it's a fine art getting these things tuned in, and you can see the level of detail you can get with these things. Oh, there we go. Well, that's FM. I'm on AM right now. It definitely picked up something there. It's not FM, so I'm not. Let's go back this way a little bit. So I'm pretty sure it's AM, right? Yes, I thought AM is for air traffic. And I'm set on AM right now, so let's see what happens when we get that bumped up again. I'm just going to go back. I've also found sometimes it forgets the setting. Even though I think it's in AM, it's not. All right, so we're tuned in now, so let's see if we get anything else on that. And then we can maybe get the ATIS on 118, 150. So let's try that. So I'm going to just add another shortcut here. I'm going to create a new group. And then let's see if we can get the ATIS, which is at 118.150. I would assume we could pick that up, but it doesn't look like I can get it here. That broadcasts continuously, right, the ATIS? And looks like we got a radio operator here, always AM. And one thing that's been fun about the radio hobby is that people are so inviting in trying to bring more people into it. And that's one thing I've been discovering as I've been browsing for information on how to tune this software-defined radio. It's been kind of fun just to see how much support there is out there for people looking to play around with it. But you can see I'm in a challenging area. And I have challenges picking up even over-the-air broadcasts like TV stations and stuff with my antenna. And these air frequencies are always challenging because they don't talk very long because they're just communicating. Well, there's a big one. They're just communicating with their tower and then their air traffic controller, and they move on. What is that? Oh, there's a. See how you can really get distracted quickly here. Yes, it looks like some kind of digital thing. Sometimes it's like, what's the mystery? What are these things we're hearing? But it's pretty cool. So I do not have any kind of filters, so maybe I should get some of that. So that might be part of what and this is what I mean, I'm still learning so much about all of this. Like I'm flying blind here. So on the video that you'll see on Saturday, I did find a couple of good examples of things that I picked up. And let's see if we get anything on the CB band here. CB radio is a lot of fun to tune into. It's a very narrow swath of frequency. But I picked up a trucker the other day. Couldn't understand what he was saying, but he was... So that's likely somebody transmitting. That's very weak. Yeah, it's super weak. What I need to do is like dial in the channels for CB so that I could just very quickly hop between them there. And we can pick up ACARS. Yeah, actually, I just messed around with, I have an ACARS decoder. So let's see if we're getting anything on that frequency. So 131. 150. Yeah, I'm not getting anything there. But I think those come in short bursts, right? So 131, 131, 550. That's the right frequency here. And this might, we may just have to wait for something to fly over, right? Like that's part of it, 131, 550. But I do have software that can decode ACARS. Paul Bakewell is here, hello there. Yeah, we're just playing around with software-defined radio. And this, essentially, for very little money, turns your computer into a shortwave radio. And it's amazing, like this USB dongle is all you need. And once you plug it into your PC and attach the antenna that it comes with, you are ready to tune. And if you're somewhere other than where I am, there's a lot that you can get with it. Matthew Kelly says he was in the Army as part of an air defense artillery unit. They used ACARS, but for a very different reason. And I am a little bit of a noob in the sense that this is about a week's worth of research that I've been able to narrow down to this. I've had a sort of understanding of radio, but not a good one. But I've managed to figure out all the different modulations. I looked up all that. I figured out how different frequencies work, and I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So I spent like all weekend. This came in on like Saturday or Sunday, and I just spent like the whole day poking around on it to see what I could pick up. And it's one of those things that I love about technology, and this was kind of how it was when I first got on the internet, is that there's all this stuff out there that's there, and you can explore it and find it. And radio is kind of like, it's an old frontier, but a new one, right? Because it's got so much that you can find and communicate with. At least in this one doesn't transmit, but you know what I mean. Like all this data is around us. So right now the antenna is inside, and it needs to go outside. I did not put it outside just because we've had some pretty lousy weather, but I'm going to be looking at different antenna options soon. But I'm curious to see how well that dipole antenna does outside, maybe a little bit higher up. But this is inside, and I'm picking up a lot of the local stuff is coming in really, really well. So, for example, if we go back to the NOAA,
Seas 9 to 13 feet. Snow likely in the evening with visibility 1 to 3 nautical miles. For
so
Sunday,
this kind of stuff works fine. All my fire departments, police department stuff, that's all been working pretty well. It's just and even the ham repeaters. I was picking up a bunch of ham repeaters the other night. I haven't picked up anything, from far away, but I haven't been looking in those bands. But I will get into that. But it's been fun to listen to that. And then there's another thing. So if you go to, and you could do this right now without any equipment at all, websdr.org. This will consume you. And they have these software-defined radios that you can use through your web browser all over the world. Look how many there are. They're all over the place. And you can just click on one and listen to stuff. So the most popular one is this one at the University of Twente in the Netherlands. And it's amazing. And what's cool is that there's so many people on it, and they have a chat room. So you can just click on these frequencies and listen to what's going on. So here's an example of, let me turn the volume up a little bit here. And because this is in the Netherlands, you're picking up people from France in this case, right? And so it's fun if you want to get started, like just to go through the chat room here, and people just post things when they find stuff. And then my favorite is this one, which is the Russian buzzer. And it doesn't get, you won't hear it until later in the evening over there. Oh, there it goes. Hear that? And it's been doing that for like the last 40 years. It's some Russian military thing. But lately people have been trying to jam it with their own stuff. Like, that one's an interesting one to tune into because you're hearing some people attempting to mess up whatever military use that frequency has. But this is websdr.org, and you can tune into these radios all over the place. And it works just like what we're playing with here, except those antennas are better than what I have, and they're in different parts of the world. So you can listen to things at night during the day on the other side of the world if you want with the WebSDR. So that's pretty neat. But yeah, the buzzer has been something I've been fascinated with because it's like one of these mysteries, like what's it for? And people keep messing with it. And Daniel's wondering, can I pick up radio signals from trains? Yes, although I think Amtrak is nearby. I wonder if, let's see. Because Amtrak does run through nearby, not terribly close. Let me I can take a look and see if there is anything in the Northeast here. But yeah, this was something I just kind of stumbled across. Well, actually, I did stumble across it. So what happened was, with all the events in the world, I was really drawn to the web SDR because I had heard that the BBC was broadcasting once again on shortwave. So I wanted to see if I could tune into it, and I found this site, and then it just went downhill from there. It's like, ooh, I can do this at home. Ooh, it's only $39. Ooh, I got to get one of these things, and that's where it all how it all came together. And what we might try is if I can find one of these emergency action messages, because they're pretty interesting. All right, so let me go back to here, and I'm going to look up from my notes 11175. And this is where you might hear it. I think that's the frequency. Maybe not. I'm in the wrong one. It's 1175. Okay, so I got an extra one in there. Hang on. But they broadcast these emergency action messages from the military, and you don't know what they're about, but they're pretty frequent. So I'm find one of the other ones here. Oops, sorry, I have not picked one up at my house yet, but I'm hoping to at some point because it's fascinating. Let's see, one more. Find this thing. Here's something from like Antarctica. But it's fun just to kind of see what people are picking up on their own, and then they share that with you. And you get Morse code. Right, so you can do that. Frank Cromer on Amazon says, glad to see that I'm covering this. Yeah, I'm going to have a video up this weekend about it and kind of showing what I've discovered with it so far. But it's been fun, and I think that web SDR is a good place to start because you can really get a feel for. That one in the Netherlands is really good. It picks up a lot, so you can start there and kind of get a feel for it, and then bring it home and try this out and pick up some other stuff. Like I said, I don't get all that much here, but I'm trying to find like all the things that I can get. So that's been kind of the focus that I have been looking at this moment until I can figure out the rest of it. Yeah, maybe ET is calling home. They are encrypted. They communicate via quantum mechanics, right? And WB here says that WebSDR is amongst the first, if not the first, web receiver networks. Yeah, it's amazing, like how many different. I haven't even gone through all of it yet. But what I love about it is that I think you can learn a lot quicker because you can tune into places. So for example, the evening is often the best time to pick up longer range signals, right? And you can tune into some place that's experiencing the evening so that you can do that during the day when you're awake, right? And then learn where to look and how to tune and what modulations and all that kind of stuff. And here's one in Spain that's running off of one of our USB dongles. And it tells you what kind of antennas they're using on all these different things and all the frequency ranges that they pick up. It's really, really cool. Frank Cromer bought his kit to pick up signals from his weather station. A video I found covered the project grabbing signals from older radio-based devices and integrating with Home Assistant. Well, that's interesting, right? Because there's a lot of those humidity sensors that just broadcast into the air, right? So you can integrate those signals that way. Absolutely. But you can see just how many there are out there. There's actually one in my home state here in Connecticut, I think. Let me see if I can find it. Maybe not. I thought they had one nearby to me. And they have different types of antennas, so you can pick up different types of frequencies. So it's pretty neat. Oh, it looks like we had an ACARS transmission that I just missed. All right, so you know what I'm going to do here. There's another one. All right, so let's try this real quick. So what I have set up earlier, let me stop it for a second, is this thing called the virtual cable. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to hit play again. And then I have software that I downloaded a little while back. And what it can do is listen to that virtual, it's called PDW. And what I can do here is set it to monitor ACARS. And let's see. I'm going to turn the squelch off, maybe. Oops. Yeah, now it's getting a signal. Okay, so let's see if it grabs anything. So what's happening here is I'm piping the audio out of the software into this. And what it should do is if we get another ACARS transmission, it should put it up here on screen. And I saw two go by a second ago, so we just have to wait. And Andrew's picking up HD radio stations. Well, that's pretty cool. So you're decoding the HD radio with a piece of software? And we got some discussion about radio and Marconi and Tesla and how, yeah, those inventors did really steal from each other quite a bit back then, didn't they? Frank says, for example, I have an older Radio Shack mail alert device, just a photocell that sends a signal to a base station. Oh, and you can pick that up. That's kind of neat. So what we're waiting for here is for one of these ACARS messages to come down. Now, I saw two right when I loaded this up again. And so what's happening now is this software is listening for an ACARS message. And if it detects one, it's going to put it up on the screen here so we can see what it is. And this is part of it. You just have to kind of wait it out. I might just leave this running today and see what I get on it. But this software is called PDW, and it's another free thing. And yeah, I'm going to start going around to different places. And we're not far from the beach, so and the Long Island Sound, so I think I might park the car one afternoon and just bring the antenna with me and see what I can get on my laptop. It's kind of neat how that works. All right, so I'm determined now to pick up an ACARS message. I got about another 20 minutes, and then I got to jump off, but let's see what we get. We're just waiting patiently. But those were pretty strong signals that came through, so I think we will get something out of this. Just a matter of time. Kind of like fishing. You just have to kind of wait. But there's all these, and this is one of the things, is that you can, and I'm still learning this part, but for digital signals, you can route the audio out of AirSpy into some piece of software that can decode it. So that is what we're monitoring for right now with this software. So what it's listening for is the digital packet, or whatever it is, that gets transmitted. And then we can ingest it and see what we get. And Jazz says the MLA 30 plus active loop antenna works very well for ham band 0 to 30 megahertz. Yeah, I'm going to be looking for different antennas. I was surprised that I could pick up as much as I can off the one that it came with, that dipole. So Frank on his mailbox, see, that's what I wanted to get. I'm still trying to solve that problem. So Frank has a little photo sensor that broadcasts at 915 megahertz. So he wants to get the signal from that when it detects light from the mailbox opening, so he knows when the mail has arrived. That's not a bad idea. Oh, there we go. It did not decode that. Maybe I have to narrow that down a bit. Maybe a little too much bandwidth, maybe. Let's go like there. So something did come through, but it did not decode it. Again, this is all the learning that I'm doing. And although the first two signals that I saw were much longer, so I don't know if maybe that was just like a something else. But yeah, I'm going to let this run for a couple hours and see if it picks up anything. I'm curious. I don't even know if I've set it up right. So the MLA 30 plus, is that an indoor antenna or an outdoor antenna? Looks like an outdoor wire antenna. That's what it looks like. Oh, it's a rooftop. Okay, so right, you just kind of let it use as much surface area as possible with that, right? All right, we're just going to let this thing sit here until we see an ACARS packet come overhead. And let me see if I can see what's overhead right now. Yeah, so we have to, there's a whole set of circumstances here where the plane has to be overhead. It has to be sending a message while it's overhead, or receiving one, I guess. Probably sending one, right? And it uses the telex format. I did not know that. So we had a telex machine at my dad's office when I was a kid for communicating overseas. And this is what it's supposed to sound like. Oops. That's what it sounds like. Oh, there's one. That was a big one, although it did not decode it. So I wonder if I have something incorrectly set up here. Let me see if I hit the, oops. So this is bouncing, so it is getting a signal out of this thing. And if I mute it, it doesn't. I wonder if I have this too loud. Because it's definitely listening. It's getting something from piped in there, but so that's what I'm trying to learn now, is how to do this kind of stuff. Chris Allegretti says, are there ever broadcasts for I think that's against FCC regulations. Now I might be, that's the world, so 131550 is the primary world ACARS frequency. And then there's additional frequencies here in the US that they use. So USA and Canada, there's a couple of different frequencies that they're using. And actually, I was picking up, I was calling this data burst because I didn't know what it was. But I wonder if those are also, where did I put it here? It was at 153 now, so that must be something different. But you can see kind of the challenge here is that you have to just, it's like fishing. So we'll see if we get anything. I'm going to leave this on here, though, to see if I might be able to pick up a packet or two coming off of this. Mr. Anonymous, thank you for following. And yeah, I got to run in a minute here, folks, but I will be back before you know it. And Frank Cromer wants me to share the antenna. Yeah, once I figure out this antenna thing and find an antenna that works for what I'm looking to do, I will definitely share that. Because right now I'm just using what came with the kit here. But I've been very happy with what I've been able to pick up with it. So it's been fun so far because you actually can. It's something that works out of the box. And this stuff is all the things that I'm trying to learn still, but I'll get there. Mendasso, thank you for the follow on Amazon. Yeah, we'll be coming back to this topic, I am sure, in the future. So, cool stuff. But I've got to run, and we're going to have a video about this coming up this week, and I'm hoping to get a lot of good ideas from people from that. So be on the lookout for that. It will be up probably Saturday night, so at our usual time there. So yeah, fun stuff. Got a lot more to learn with it, but I am enjoying it nonetheless. So I will be back again before you know it, and if you have suggestions about things that you'd like to see me do with software-defined radio, let me know in the comment thread. All right, I will catch you all very soon. Bye-bye.